It's been hard to tell the difference between City Hall and a circus act.
Ladies and gentlemen, give your attention to City Councilman Maienschein in Ring 1. Watch Brian try to make his negligent votes for the city employee pensions disappear before your very eyes.
San Diego's council member Donna Fry told KPBS Radio News she worries that the city's priorities are misplaced as the council faces a multi-million-dollar shortfall. With me in studio is a third member of the San Diego City Council. District 5 council member Brian Maienschein represents North Inland San Diego, including Mira Mesa, Rancho Bernardo, Scripps Ranch, and Sorrento Mesa. Also joining us is Carl DeMaio, president of the Performance Institute, a government accountability think tank that has organized the San Diego Citizens Budget Project. Welcome to both of you. Let's talk numbers a little bit, Carl. Okay, we know that the city's operating budget is approximately $2 billion, right? Okay, and currently the city is estimating a shortfall of $24 million. That's their estimate. And the possible loss of $14 or $15 million more next year from the state of California. Now, your numbers that I looked at look far worse. I mean, they ranged from $65 million to $100 million next year. Why such a huge difference?
Well, this is a city that doesn't just have a budget deficit. They have a transparency deficit. They're not being honest about the true state of city finances. When we looked at all the accounting gimmicks, the raids on special funds, our water department, our sewer department, when we looked at all the movement of monies in these internal funds, what we find is a city that has at least $65 million in deficit that it's going to face next year, assuming it pushes through the spending increases that it plans. Now, this is a city that has a pension fund that is on the verge of bankruptcy. It has budget deficits. It's cutting services across the city, and that indeed is impacting our citizens. But they're increasing spending next year by 11%. That's completely unreasonable. And so what we would like to see is a fundamental rethinking of city government and the budget priorities.
We're going to get to that. But first, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty shocked at the discrepancy in the figure. And what Carl says is a lack of transparency, that these numbers are not just coming out of the air, that they exist, but they've been hidden. How do you respond to that?
I think there's some definite truth to that.
Talking about, Carl, about the city pension fund,
yes,
which seems to be that the gorilla in the room, the 600-pound gorilla. Right now, that is an enormous problem. I mean, you're talking about the city having to dump into the city pension fund each year, according to this committee that was set up by the mayor, the Pension Reform Committee, $200 million a year. $200 million a year. And that's on top of this deficit, this shortfall that we were talking about. I mean, how can that be? How can the city even begin to think about doing that?
Because the city is completely out of touch with reality when it comes to managing its finances. The city pension fund is the true ticking time bomb. And this city council and this mayor, unfortunately, does not seem to be inclined to listen to the Pension Reform Committee's recommendation that we fully fund. Now, either we fully fund and get ahead of those obligations, or we're going to have to reconsider whether we can meet those pension payments. And we cannot turn to people who are depending upon that pension fund for retirement and say in a few years, so sorry, we were irresponsible a few years and we don't have the money.
Why can't we do that?
Well, I don't think that's fair, because they're being told that this is going to be there for them to retire. The problem lies at City Hall, not with the people who are in that retirement system.
I bet they're getting pretty nervous.
If I were them, I would be quite nervous right now, and I'd be going down to City Hall demanding fundamental change.
Okay, so that committee that was set up by the mayor recommended $200 million a year from the city operating funds to go into the pension system. That's $115 million more than has been already thought of as part of the budget that's going to go to it. Where's the money going to come from?
Well, there's going to have to be any number of factors on the table, whether it's cutting spending somewhere else or raising revenues. Those are really the only two ways you can do that.
We have the candidates to be introduced here, but I did want to tell you some of my personal impressions as they were coming in. First of all, Dan, the coffee is out. I guess is he becoming a judge? Is that what's happening to Dan? Yes. And Jan Goldsmith is in, and he's leaving being a judge. I don't know which one's the smartest one. The election will tell. Councilman Brian Maienschein is here. He's promised to attend 2 out of 3 debates, thereby bettering his council attendance record.